It's funny because Fox Business like is a business program. So while being objectively right wing, they still have to like, you know, do accurate analysis on things like this. That is so crazy. Unlike Fox editorial on the Fox News front, they can say whatever the fuck they want. They can be like, these jobs are fake. Okay. The economy's in the pooper. But these guys still have to be like relatively accurate because it's the business side. You know what I mean? So let's hear what they had to say.
I agree with Warren. It's really hard to put a negative spin on this. It was a good jobs report. Yeah. The unemployment rate lower, the total jobs number higher. Because I'm a long-term, big picture macroeconomist, I'm always worried about the lower labor participation force. I want more people in the workforce. But as far as the percentage of people that are in the workforce and looking for a job, a good portion of them have one. It's pretty easy right now to hold a job, but at the end of the day, wages are what a lot of people are looking to, Ash, and real wages have kept up pretty good here as of late, so it's a good report.
Guess what? David Bonson.
I can't conceive how Biden has 50 years of political experience and can't come up with a shitty deal to stop the strike. Reagan would never let this happen. Thankfully, capitals became lazy as fuck at fucking the labor movement. Wait, what? I mean, Biden literally objected to putting a Taft-Hartley on the strikers. Like, listen, do not ever expect me to lie to you. Okay, I will always be honest. If you ask me something that Biden is doing that's good, I'm gonna tell you. Okay, honesty is the policy here, and he straight up was like, nope, I'm standing with the ILA strikers. I believe in collective bargaining. He said those words. This is, by the way, the second time. I don't know if this is real or not. We're told Pete Buttigieg was the point man for the administration getting the agreement to suspend the port strike, named specifically by both sides in the press release. Is quiet but effective leadership people appreciate. Pete Buttigieg, this is the second time Pete Buttigieg has been named. If this is correct, I haven't seen it yet, but this would literally be the second time that Pete Buttigieg has actually negotiated on the side of a union quietly. Don't know if this is accurate for this one, but he was literally credited. He was credited in the union papers for the railroad strikers by name. It wasn't Pete. It was the acting labor secretary. He's trying to steal valor. Oh, no. But the unions have credited him for it before. It's not the first time this has happened. Our members, B-Trades and SoCal, heard it was Julie Su that made it happen. I think so, too. Julie Su was named by name by the ILA leader, saying she's out there door knocking for us and you know, screaming bloody murder. Oh, here it is. Okay, never mind. Seen some viral tweets suggesting Pete Buttigieg single-handedly resolved the port strike. Acting Labor Secretary Julie Su, a woman with less visibility, was at the union headquarters all day yesterday working on this, just not on TV. The ILA's president called Su terrific. Julie Su is the acting labor secretary, chat, a person who was named directly. Okay, striking dock workers just told Charleston NBC affiliate that an agreement has been reached about two major points: automation and pay, and work will resume throughout the year's end while the final deal is hammered. Thank Julie Su and Pete Buttigieg by name. So they might have given Pete Buttigieg some credit. This is not the first time that this has happened. This is the second time this is happening with yet another negotiation resolving. The first time it was with the striking rail workers, which was obviously bad because the administration used the legislative power to stop them from striking, and then quietly made the railroad companies concede to their demands. Pete Buttigieg was mentioned by name once again on that deal as well. I still hate him. I still think he's a rat. But, you know, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not surprised by Pete Buttigieg being named here. However, having said that, I suspect that he's trying to beef up his bona fides for when he inevitably runs for president, to be like, see, I'm so pro-labor. I was mentioned in labor papers or whatever. Having said that, the one name that routinely was brought up was not Pete Buttigieg. The name that was routinely brought up was Julie Su on the NPR coverage. But more importantly than the NPR coverage, the person who worked behind the scenes that the ILA president himself directly fucking named on that Fox News, on that viral Fox News hit, was Julie Su. Okay? Acting Labor Secretary Julie Su. But remember, Biden did also, to give him to give him props, straight up fucking said, I don't believe in Taft-Hartley. There is such a thing as collective bargaining. He did say that. He's a genocidaire. He's a piece of shit. He's an old monstrous asshole who is basically fucking tanking the Democratic Party's chances of winning this election by being such a firm, committed ultra-Zionist. But on the issue of labor, he did fucking say that. That's just true. Make with that information what you will, but he did do that. Okay? He's our LBJ. Yeah, he is. He's our LBJ, baby. About 12 hours after the strike began on Tuesday, Biden issued a statement urging the U.S. Maritime Alliance to present what he called a fair offer, citing the 800% growth in profits some ocean carriers saw in the pandemic. It's only fair that workers who put themselves at risk during the pandemic to keep ports open see a meaningful increase in their wages as well, he wrote. Biden's message to companies also tied hurricane relief efforts, noting that dock workers play an essential role in getting essential supplies to the communities affected by Hurricane Helene. He said now is not the time for ocean carriers to refuse to negotiate a fair wage. Do you understand how significant it is that the sitting president is communicating the real villains of the story when mainstream media refuses to do so? He is directly addressing the companies. He's saying that the companies should do what is fair. This is very important, okay? This is utilizing the bully pulpit in a positive way for labor. That's why I'm writing for. That's why I'm writing in Biden. Okay, this is you. You want to ask me why I'm writing Joe Biden in? This is it. There you have it. If not for Israel, Biden has been the most progressive president of my lifetime. Yeah, it is kind of interesting to think about. Pre the month of October, because then he also did the immigration thing in October, like on October 4th or October 5th. He was like, I'm also gonna fucking kill migrants, Jack. If it wasn't for the month of October. Like, he doesn't go right wing on immigration and he doesn't fucking do the permanent genocide in Gaza, Jack. He is objectively the most progressive president in like the past 50, 60 fucking years. Okay. Straight up, which is crazy to think. Like, imagine a world where the month of October does not exist. Okay. You're staring down the barrel of a guy who uniquely, as the president, stepped on a fucking picket line and also sided with the workers on a major fucking UAW contract renegotiation process. You are looking at a guy who geared the NLRB and the FTC to do whatever the fuck they want in terms of like going after trusts and doing trust busting on the FTC side, who is like going after abusers on the NLRB side, actively being pro-labor, openly communicating that he's being pro-labor. And on top of that, he pulled out of Afghanistan. Okay? On the foreign policy front, on the NATO end, yes, there were, there are a lot of issues that leaves, he certainly could have been better in terms of like trying to get to a deal, trying to get to the table with a deal. And that's like, obviously, foreign policy. That's just uniparty regardless. Well, beyond that, he would have been he would have been hailed as like an incredibly progressive carcass. Did Kamala say anything about the strike? Yes, she also repeated Biden, the same language that Biden repeated. At the NLRB, I was able to help get so many injunctions to get workers their jobs under Biden. How would you feel if you did half a genocide law? Wait, what do you mean? First of all, he didn't do half a genocide. He's doing a full-blown one, okay? Am I hallucinating Obama legalizing gay marriage? Okay, yes, that is very progressive, but we're talking about progressive in ways that are unique in terms of like economic policy, which has the capacity to reach out to the broadest subsects of American society. Also, it's not like Barack Obama was like, don't look at what Barack Obama and Joe Biden's statement on gay marriage was. Meanwhile, senior leaders in his administration, including National Economic Advisor Lael Brainerd, White House Chief of Staff Jeff Zients, and Acting Labor Secretary Julie Su, were holding a flurry of calls to the foreign shipping companies and with the union, according to a source familiar with the discussion who was not authorized to speak. After several days of pressure, the companies agreed to put a higher offer on the table. The union accepted that offer and also agreed to extend the contract so negotiations over all other issues could resume. On Thursday night, after the tentative deal was announced, Biden issued a statement thanking all the parties for acting patriotically to reopen the ports. And the economic disaster was averted. More than $2 billion worth of goods typically flow through these ports daily, from chemicals to clothing to bourbon to bananas. The affected ports from Boston to Houston normally handle more than half of all cargo containers coming into the U.S., about 1 million containers a month, as well as more than 300,000 containers heading out of the country, according to the freight tracking company Vizion. How is Biden anything but a centrist, borderline conservative? If Joe Biden's considered progressive, we're fucked. I am rating Joe Biden's administration's policies on labor on a curve. Okay? That's just it. And the reality of the matter is, on that curve, American presidents have historically been openly and overtly anti-labor. Biden has done a bunch of shit that is openly and overtly pro-labor. So if you're comparing him to other American presidents and other American administrations, yes, his policies on labor are above and beyond. Okay? It is an incredibly low bar to set, but it's still true. This isn't like me saying I'm in the tank for Joe Biden, even though I am riding with Joe Biden and I will be writing his name in the upcoming election. Here's Julie Sue.
Back to the jobs report. 254,000 jobs were added in the month of September, much higher than expected. Lydia Hu is outside the Labor Department with Acting Labor Secretary Julie Sue. All right, Lydia, it's all yours. Take it away.
Hi there, Ash. Thank you so much. We're so pleased to be joined by Acting Labor Secretary Julie Sue to talk about this morning's surprising jobs report. 254,000 jobs added when 140,000 were expected. Unemployment ticking down to 4.1% when 4.2 was what was expected. I'm sure that you will probably say this is a strong jobs report, but I do want to start with this because it seems like this is changing direction. We have had a series of job reports this year that have indicated a cooling labor market. So my question to you is today's report really an exception or an anomaly?
I mean, let's look at what the jobs report have told us really since the Biden-Harris administration began. We have had a record recovery, right? The numbers of jobs created, the record low levels of unemployment. This is not just like, 4.1% once. It has been the longest stretch of unemployment at or below 4%, near 4%, since, most of us were born. That's not an anomaly. And the fact that we continue to see robust job growth across multiple industries, not an anomaly. Now, the story of this economy was definitely not predicted, though, right? 4 years ago, let's just think about exactly where we were 4 years ago. In the last administration, it was September. Back to school meant back to Zoom. We're in the middle of a global pandemic, and there was no national strategy to get it under control. October, kids were being told trick or treat is being canceled. We're in a very different place now, right. Not because of 1 month, but because of really strong economic policies that have powered a historic recovery.
Well, let's talk more about this data because baked in here too, we are seeing some revisions. And what's different in this report is that we're seeing revisions to the upside. From July, for example, excuse me, adding 55,000 jobs. That is a change from what we have seen over the past year. Coming into this report, we had actually seen revisions to the downside. The Labor Department reporting that they had over-reported job growth by 800,000. So I'm wondering, how can we even trust that this data is accurate when we are seeing wild gyrations in the revisions?
Well, I would dispute the characterization of wild gyrations. Again, month after month, there has been job growth, period, to the tune of some 16 million over the period of this administration. The last administration was one of only two to lose jobs from the time they came into the time they left. But let's talk about the revisions, because the reason why these numbers are considered the gold standard, the reason why they're relied on for everything from markets to economic policy, is because it really is the most robust collection of data about the state of the job market.
If that's so, then how can we see revisions 8,000 to the downside before, and now we see job revisions to the upside?
I'm glad you asked that, because revisions are a part of the process. We report the data as it comes in. The reason I can come out here every month and report them is that we give people a very narrow window to tell us what happened in the month. They have 13 days to report it. Some people don't make that deadline, right? I'm sure you as a student, I as a student, sometimes we miss deadlines. But once we report it, it gets integrated, for sure. But it gets integrated into the numbers. And so the revisions actually prove just how transparent and reliable they are, because we report the facts as we see them, and the facts are a very good story.
Let's drill down into some of those sectors, because you mentioned a few of them where you're seeing some job growth. But one area where we are not seeing job growth is manufacturing, and that is concerning. In this report, we saw 7,000 manufacturing jobs lost in the country. The expectation was 5,000, and that's continuing what is troubling to some, a trend of declining manufacturing jobs. According to our good colleague Edward Lawrence, who usually has this post, the 3-month average now is roughly 9,300 jobs lost per month in manufacturing. So what is wrong with manufacturing in America?
Again, let's look at the overall picture. So manufacturing jobs have grown under this administration, also not by accident, right? Part of the Biden-Harris Investing in America agenda.
I think it's roughly 160,000 jobs that have been added under the administration for
Exactly.
manufacturing.
So added is the point, right? It is inaccurate to say that we haven't grown manufacturing, and we've grown it not by accident.
What's the trend now? Why are we seeing it seems like a change? Because for the month after month recently this year, we're seeing a downward decline in manufacturing jobs.
So the reality is, we are now opening up manufacturing facilities in parts of the country where they had been closed in the last administration. I visited them. Jobs where people had to leave their community, leave their families to go work somewhere else are now able to come home. You're right, though. We're not done. We've got more work to do on this.
It's weapons, isn't it? A big part. I mean, weapons are a big part of it for sure. That's why Zelensky was literally at the Scranton, Pennsylvania manufacturing facility, and dude, something that was genuinely scary for me, at least, that didn't get a lot of media reporting was talking about how America's endless support for continued wars. God damn, dude, holy shit.